Hey, this is Pastor Curry, pastor of the Ezion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya and anything you could do about it. Today with Coffee with Curry, we're going to continue in our series of awareness as it relates to breast cancer. For many of you, you know that I am very much a true believer in education, making sure that we educate ourselves in various areas. This month we have dedicated, as the month is established for in America, to deal with breast cancer. And last week we had someone on. This week we have a giant. And I'm telling you, as I was going through preparing for this interview, I became motivated and even more committed because this sister is really got it going on. What is her name? Dr. Chalice Rhodes. And let me tell you, she is phenomenal. She practiced in various parts of our country, whether it be Georgia, Delaware, Florida, or New Jersey. I'm excited about this interview. I want you to call somebody right away. We're going to talk about breast cancer. We're going to talk about her trajectory. And we're going to really get into making sure you understand that there is a necessity to make sure you check yourself. And if you find that you do have it, you don't stop living. You get the help you need. And that's what her role is going to be. So why don't you call somebody real quickly? Tell them Coffee with Curry is on, and let's get after it.
Good morning, Delaware and surrounding areas. You are now tuned in to this week's Coffee with Curry. Join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. with new guests every week. So grab your cup of coffee and join us on Coffee with Curry.
And we're back. Well, as I promised you, I have the trendsetter, the trailblazer, the torchbearer, who really will give us some information. And you know, Dr. Rhodes, I'm really not trying to just give you this shiny glow recommendation, because you really have done some phenomenal work in the short time that you've been on this planet. I don't want nobody to think that you're 100 years old, but the amount of work you've done, you would think you've been around for a very long time. Before we get started, let me just first say welcome to the Coffee with Curry show.
Thank you, Reverend Pastor Dr. Curry.
I don't need any credentials today. I want you to have all the credentials today. But Dr. Rhodes, just before we get started, as I always do with our audience, our guests, is I often ask the question, family life. I want people to know a little bit about you before we get into your profession. Tell me a little bit about your family life, your children, if anything in that area.
Okay, great. So my name is Dr. Chalice Rhodes. I'm a licensed professional counselor, board certified telemental health counselor, cancer oncology behavioral health specialist, national certified counselor, a single mother of two amazing sons, Isaiah and Daniel. And I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up in the Ville, as they call it. So Merchantville, Cherry Hill area. You know, I was born to Celestine Williams and Booker T. Rhodes Jr. Let me say my dad's whole name because he always said his name. You know, my grandmother, my father's mother, stands out to me because she was also a reverend doctor. Oh. She was a teacher, a retired teacher of decades. Okay. We actually went to her same college, Rowan University. Okay, so I didn't go to an HBCU.
That's all right.
But I went to Rowan University, same college that my grandmother went to earn my bachelor's in psychology. And my grandmother was also a reverend in her church. Okay. So she was a reverend in her church and a teacher. So I just always feel her presence. And rest in peace, Grandmom Esther Rhodes is her name.
Wow. Well, you know, it's interesting because as I've listened to all of these names you brought out before we even get into the interview, you really kept the names biblical because as I'm listening to, you know, from Esther, if I perish, let me perish. But I'm really interested and grateful as I listen to your son's name.
Yes.
Isaiah and Daniel.
Yes.
Two very powerful prophets from the Old Testament. And I think this is just awesome. So you're just keeping the tradition going.
Yes, I am. And you know, I'm a Christian counselor as well, too.
I saw that on the site.
A lot of people don't know. And I just have this passion for Christian counseling. And I'm all about, you know, mental health and holistically health and wellness.
Yes.
But let me tell you how I got started on my journey. When I was, just seeing things around me, seeing problems and wanting to solve them, struggling with my own emotions as a child. Okay. You know, I remember being in elementary school and I remember Mr. V and Mrs. Kispolsky. They were elementary school teachers in Clara Barton, and I just felt like they were there for me with my emotions. And then a family member, I actually went with my mom to a family member's house, and she was in distress. And this family member, she looked right into my soul. It felt like I was only about 8 or 9 years old. And like the paramedics were there to help her. And she was saying, Chalice, help me. Help me. And I was just like, I was a little girl and I wanted to help her so bad and I could not help her. So that inspired me. I said, you know what? I'm going to help people. So when I was in 7th grade, we had a career counseling course. And I took the assessment, and the assessment said, oh, you would be great as a teacher, a counselor, a nurse. You would be great in the helping professions. So I followed that trajectory. So I said, okay, what am I going to go to college for? Psychology or sociology? In high school, they had a course. It was the first year, anthropology, psychology, and sociology. I said, oh, this is going to help me decide what I should major in when I go to Rowan. So I took the course and I was trying to sociology or psychology. I said psychology.
Okay.
So I earned my bachelor's in psychology. Worked in the field for 3 years. I mean, I've worked in various hospitals as a crisis worker, in the community, doing child abuse and neglect investigations, a social worker, helping people, accompanying people to court. Just so many, working at a residential home for boys. I've worked with so many different populations. Then I decided to go back and earn my master's degree in clinical psychology.
Okay.
And that's when God called me to integrate theology and psychology.
Okay.
So I was taking this course. It was a psychodynamic course, and we had to do a dream interpretation assignment. So I'm like, I'm not having any dreams. I was like, oh, let me pray to God and ask God to give me a dream. So God gave me a dream, and he literally gave me the dream and took me through the Bible and the scriptures. And I literally, through God, interpreted this dream according to the scriptures, turned it in as an assignment. And my professor was like, I have never in all my years of teaching seen anything like this assignment. God actually used me to expose my professor to the Bible.
Amen.
And the integration of psychology and theology.
Absolutely.
And then, just taking courses at church over the years, getting strengthened in the Bible helped me. And that's where my love for Christian counseling first started. I actually completed my internship at a Christian counseling center in the rural mountains of Georgia.
Oh, wow.
It was such an amazing experience.
Okay.
So I've worked in inner cities. I've worked in rural country settings. I've worked in the suburbs. I've worked with people of all races, different denominations. It's just really, my journey has really been a blessing. And then when I started my first job as a counselor, I was doing this group counseling class for kids. And I was like, you know what? I want to teach psychology. I was like, I want to teach. So I started researching. I was like, well, I don't want to be like a math or English teacher. I want to teach psychology. So I thought I would go back to get my doctorate degree in psychology. Got to the program the first day, and in my spirit, I just didn't feel like I was in the right place. I stepped out on faith. I discontinued that program. I only went for 1 day. Started working in the field. And a year later, God gave me the program. At Capella University, a PhD, a Doctor of Philosophy in Human Services with a specialization in counseling studies.
Okay.
See, going a PhD route would allow me to break into the university space to teach these psychology classes.
Absolutely.
I was going to go the PsyD, the Doctor of Clinical Psychology route. And it really paid off for me because after years of submitting my resume to different universities in Georgia, and they would say, oh yeah, this looks good. When we have a class, we'll call you. Well, I never got a breakthrough. I had my first son. I was married at the time. I had my first son, Isaiah Nathaniel. And I remember holding him as a baby at my graduation of my doctorate of my PhD at Capella University. He was about 7 or 8 months. And I have him, I'm dressed in my garb. And it was just such a blessing. But I earned that degree, moved back to Jersey where my family is from. And do you know the same month that I moved back to New Jersey, after trying to break into different universities in Georgia, not getting offered a class, the first month I was here, I went to a career fair in Northeast Philadelphia, and there was a representative, Susan Calder, I'll never forget her, from Philadelphia University. Now, Philadelphia University is now, oh my goodness, is it not Thomas Jefferson. It is now, it merged.
It merged to become Chalice Jefferson. That's correct.
It did. It merged.
Yes.
So she was there recruiting students. So I had my CV and I said, hi, do you all need people to teach psychology classes? I'm interested in teaching psychology. I know you're recruiting students. So she said, wait, I know. Yep, I'm going to get my CV I'm going to get your CV to a person. And she got my CV to Ellen Kolodner. I had an interview in the next month, and literally the same month that I moved to New Jersey, I landed my first adjunct professor job at Philadelphia University, teaching what? Introduction to psychology.
Wow, excellent.
Yeah, so then I worked in higher education for 12 years. First 9 years, I worked at 5 different universities. So I would just keep adding universities because at the time I was wanting to have children. You know, I was married, wanting to have children, wanted to have my second son. And so with my first son, I supervised a partial hospitalization program for adults with substance abuse and mental health disorders. And then by that time, I was teaching with 3 different universities and working full time, supervising this program. So then by the time I ended with the 4th university, I said, okay, I think it's time now. We're going to make all of these adjunct professor positions into a full-time position. I'll be able to work from home, can have my second son, can have the flexibility to be that super mom to my sons. And it's been a blessing because being able to be their room mothers, being at all of their school events, while also furthering my career has been amazing. So after 9 years, I'm like, I want to be a full-time professor. And it's so hard to break into higher education, and especially for people in the Black community.
Yes.
In the Black community, about 4% of university professors are Black, but God made another way. I finally landed a position as an assistant clinical professor of counseling and family therapy at a university in the tri-state area. So, you know, I left all of the other universities because that's what they required. And I was there for 3 years. And while I was there, God used me. I prayed the prayer of Jabez. Actually, I have a cross with a prayer of Jabez on it. It's hanging in my office now. I brought that to the university and I prayed that prayer and I literally watched God make it happen. Wow. He literally, people across the university, can you come teach the nursing? Wait a minute, I thought I was hired to teach the counseling, the behavioral health counseling and the marriage and family therapy students. Can you come to the medical school and train our up and coming doctors on this? Can you come and talk to our up and rising seniors, you know, who want to get into education, low income, underrepresented? So God literally just use my gifts and talents just really across the university. And in 2020, I earned the Dean's People of Purpose Award. There were 12 people selected. There were about 4 faculty members selected. I was one selected. The Dean of the College of Nursing and Health Professions, she had a call for grants. And I submitted my grant. I assembled the team. And my grant won. I won a $10,000 scholarship to research how faculty incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion into the curriculum. But you know, that was also the year the pandemic hit. And I remember the president sending an email saying Drexel lost $1 million during the first quarter. And you know, I had just won a People of Purpose. I'm working on this grant. And you know, I get the call, we're not gonna be able to renew your contract, you know, with the pandemic. And okay, God, I guess God is doing a new thing, because 3 weeks before I got that call, I started my private practice.
Excellent.
So I had dreamed of having a private practice. Just as a little girl. As a little girl, I remember my mom, Celestine Williams, she bought me the Babysitter Club books. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Babysitters Club, but I was, Mom, can you buy me the whole kit? And it was a whole kit. And I designed my whole Babysitters Club, my own business. And I was the president and I had my vice president. So I always dreamed as a little girl of just running a business. Right. And so this has really been a dream to me. So, you know, sometimes, you know, we think we're at the pinnacle of something, you know, oh, I landed my first full-time professor job. And God said, but you know, you always wanted that private practice, right? We got to get your private practice started, because you were so focused on achieving at this university, your private practice fell to the wayside. So now 3 years later, we have Dr. Chalice C. Rhodes, licensed professional counselor. I have my own private practice and I do professional counseling. I'm a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant. I sat on a diversity, equity, and inclusion board for this university. And then I also do training and education. So I train corporations. I'll go out and do various trainings. So I'm just very blessed, I'm just very blessed of how God is using me and just being obedient, to him.
Right. Yeah, and as you were speaking, for those of you who are watching us today, I want you to know that when I said she did so much in so short of a time, you would have thought that this is a 70-year journey. Wow. And it was not. It was because when you're determined to do what you need to do in order to reach some goals that you have, I always believe that it happens. But what you have really laid out nicely and well is that you allowed God to kind of set the trajectory for your life. I mean, you took a hardship where the president said, look, we can't renew your contract.
Yes.
You didn't fall apart.
Nope.
You decided, you know what, God, then that means something else is for me.
Yes.
So for all of you who quote that scripture, and we know all things work together for the good, this is an example of that, not falling apart when something that you don't like happens to you, but is at this point when you pick up your pieces and say, you know what, God, wherever you lead me now, I'll go. You talked about your sons, you talked about your trajectory, your parents.
Yes.
And your God. I was every time I go to what I'm going to say, I think of something else you really talked about that really is very impactful. What really got you, and we're going to take a commercial break. I just want you to give me a short answer, then we're going to come back and get a full answer. But what really got you to a place with all of that interest you had to deal with, as they say, the cancer part of it, or the oncology study? Because I know that the oncology deals with tumors, but cancerous tumors is where we are. What really got you interested in that?
Yes, so I was diagnosed with ductal carcinoma in situ last September. And I had the surgery and they removed the cancer. When I met with my surgeon, my breast cancer surgeon, we're hitting it off, we're laughing, and she looked at me. It's almost like she looked right into my spirit. She was like, wait, what do you do for a living? I said, oh, I'm a therapist. She looked right into my spirit and she said, we need you. She said, I don't have anybody to refer my ladies to. And wow. She's right, because when I was diagnosed with cancer, I looked for a therapist that specialized in cancer oncology. I'm a therapist, but we go to therapy too. Absolutely. I've been to therapy.
Absolutely.
It's not, you're not in therapy forever, but I've been to therapy. But of course, when I go through, major milestones in my life, I reach out, for help as well as a therapist. So it was my surgeon. And after my surgeon said that to me, something leaped in my spirit. And 2 weeks later, I received an email from one of the insurance companies that I'm contracted with. And it was a call for providers to specialize in cancer oncology, behavioral health.
Yeah. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, but I want to make sure that you catch what we just did. We shared the trajectory. And you understand that she's done the thing, did the research, laid the groundwork that needed to be laid in order to get to the place where she is today. Her physician said, we need you. And she responded to the call. When we come back, we want to really talk about some of the services that she provides and what her business is doing right now that will help you and those who you may know. We'll be right back.
Who has time to get a mammogram? I get it. You're busy. There's work. There are kids or grandkids to look after. You have so many things to take care of. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm joining Lifetime to ask you to take a moment to put your health first. Get your mammogram. It might save your life, and nothing on your to-do list is more important than that.
Local news and politics in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. The latest headlines with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry.
But they get rich, getting new cars, getting new houses, getting new opportunities, but the community is still getting nothing.
And co-host Kobe Owens.
And from that time, we have slowly seen our democracy become under attack.
Weekly episodes. Sundays at 5 p.m. The Source.
Breast cancer is the most common cancer in women. 1 out of 8, or 12% of women, will develop breast cancer in their lifetime. Unfortunately, Hawaii has one of the highest numbers of new cases of breast cancer. We're 6th out of the 50 states for a number of breast cancer cases. We know on average, 40 is the age at which we start with breast cancer screening. And sometimes we know that it's important to get early detection and screening. We have high-risk programs to do that.
I started getting mammograms in my early 30s because I have a family history of breast cancer. My mom and her mom both had been previously diagnosed, and I truly believe that it was that early annual mammogram that saved my life.
Andrew's story really helps to showcase how important it is to have early detection and screening and really tailor treatments and management according to that. It really also shows how brave she was to share about her story and personalize it, because we all know someone who's been affected by breast cancer.
And we're back. Well, Dr. Rhodes, you have really set the groundwork for us to really be very interested in oncology, as well as just the whole notion. We're dealing with breast cancer.
Yes.
I discovered that one of our deacons had breast cancer,
Yeah.
and it wasn't a female.
Yes.
And therefore, I became very interested in breast cancer and cancer in general. And Delaware is one of the highest states that have cancer, period.
Oh, wow.
It's one of the highest states that have it. But as you were just talking about, you got interested because, you know, your area of concentration wasn't really out there. There was no real avenues for it.
Yes.
Your physician said, look, we need you. You responded.
Yes, I responded. When I received that email calling for providers to complete this cancer oncology behavioral health certificate, it was October of last year. It was Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I was in the thick of my journey, right? I was, struggling with my own anxiety about cancer because I had a lumpectomy. The breast cancer was removed. I had to wait for it to heal, and then I started radiation treatment. But to help empower myself and to empower others, and in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I said, I'm going to complete this certificate in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, in honor of my journey and other people who need mental health services. Right. I am going to combine this thing and offer this to the community. And so I finished the certificate program the end of October. Now, a little part of me was like, oh, do I want to share my story? Is there going to be stigma with this? Because even with mental health, there's stigma. Yeah. Cancer, disease, there's so much stigma in the community, and people don't want to share, but we have to share because our stories are so powerful and they empower others. Well, I'm so glad that I did get comfortable with sharing my cancer journey, because about a month, 4 to 5 weeks after completing a certificate, I get an email from that one insurance company saying, Dr. Rhodes, you were the first person to complete this training. Can we feature you in our newsletter? And I'm like, I was the first out of all of the healthcare providers? And I was like, sure, right? And so then I went on to develop 6-week online therapy groups for survivors, right? Because there are so many cancer survivors, And so I don't just specialize in breast cancer, although that's the area I'm starting with.
That's important for you all to know, good.
Right, that's important because prostate cancer, my dad was a prostate cancer survivor. Okay. You talked about your deacon being a male and having breast cancer. There are, in 2020, the American Cancer Society estimated that about a little over 2,000 men had a breast cancer diagnosis. Wow. And of course, I have 2 sons. So of course, I'm thinking, okay, but genetic testing comes into play. And, after finishing 22 radiation treatments, I did have genetic testing done. Thank God, I prayed. And my genetic testing came back clear. So there was no trace of cancer, which I'm so thankful for. And I asked, of course, about my sons. When can my sons get tested? And they like people to be about 18 where they are of age.
Can I ask a question in that area?
Yes.
Since you said that, because we have so many people who watch us and different types of people. And I want you to continue what you were sharing. But why was it important to you to make sure your children well, in this case, it's boys because we tend to say, okay, it's for women.
Yes.
But why was it important to you to have them tested or to get them tested?
Yes. You know why it's so important for me, Reverend Pastor Dr. Curry? Because listen, I love saying that. But listen, it's because in 2017, when I had my mammogram done, they said you have a cyst on your right breast. And I said, okay. They told me I had dense breasts. Nobody made a big deal out of it. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I continued living my best life. But 5 years later, that actually turned out to be breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
I did not find out until after I was diagnosed with breast cancer that I actually had a family history of breast cancer.
Okay.
So I want to encourage the community. We don't share enough. We have to share our health history, right?
Yes.
If I would have known that dense breasts was actually a risk factor for breast cancer, and when they told me I had a cyst on my right breast, if I would have known that my grandmother Esther Rhodes, her 2 sisters had breast cancer.
Okay.
I never knew that. My grandfather, my grandmother's husband, Booker T. Rhodes Sr., his sister had breast cancer. If I had known breast cancer ran in my family, when they told me I had a cyst on my right breast, I'm almost positive I would have spoke up and said, wait a minute, breast cancer runs in my family. Could this be breast cancer? But the doctors didn't make it seem like it was a big deal. I didn't know my family history. So we can only control ourselves. So what we have to do is we have to ask the elders, hey, what's our health history? Does diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, what runs in our family? But the elders, we need the elders to actually pass the information down and share. Because I'm grateful to God that cyst, which was actually breast cancer, thank God it was only stage 0 ductal carcinoma in situ. I am so grateful to God for my life, because when my surgeon went in to remove the cancer, she said it almost escaped out of the milk duct. See, ductal carcinoma in situ, it stays inside of your milk ducts, and that's what keeps it at stage 0, but it almost escaped out. So I am so grateful to God. And another thing, in 2020, when COVID hit, a lot of people missed their doctor's appointments. A lot of women missed their mammograms. Do you know when I went for my mammogram, the radiologist technician said, you know, you missed your mammogram in 2020. Now, listen, I plan everything. I have a calendar of my son's appointments, my appointments. Everybody goes to there. I said, I missed my mammogram. How did I miss my mammogram in 2020? I'm thinking COVID-19, right when it hit, I would normally get my mammograms in April. And I had some COVID anxiety myself. Like, I was like, I have sons. I'm not trying to. So either something got mixed up with the appointments, or maybe my COVID-19 anxiety kept me from wanting to go out. I delayed it and said, oh, I'll wait till this passes maybe. I can't really remember. But so many women missed their mammograms in 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I just want to encourage people, stay with your appointments. Even if you miss it, you can always get back on track. That's right. Sharing my story with some of my friends, they have been scared to get mammograms, and sharing my story and me encouraging them and telling them, if you don't get your mammogram appointment, I'm coming to get you. And they actually got it. I'm thinking of one friend. So it really encourages people. But men can get breast cancer. I talk about breast cancer disparities. African American women. So 1 in 8 women will face a diagnosis of breast cancer in her lifetime. African American women are up to 46% more likely to die of breast cancer. Latino women, Asian women, indigenous people, Native Americans. Typically, the cancer is caught at a later stage because either mammogram screenings aren't getting done, there's not access to services, people don't have insurance, there's mistrust of the medical system. There is so much that goes into this. Wow. So we really need to be talking about these topics.
Yeah, and you know, the purpose for why I really am making sure that you all hear Dr. Rhodes very clearly is because we're at a place in life where we can live longer. Grandmom, great-grandma may have died and we don't even know why. Yeah. Because she was too private or he was too private to share the health issues that were going on. And sometimes people don't even know their their history of the biology of what happened in their family. But what I'm asking is that while we are certainly having this conversation, that you please get a checkup on your health. you can add years to your life. We were having a discussion here with some of the sisters here a couple of days ago, and one sister said, Pastor, you believe I'm turning 70? I said, you turning what?
Yes.
She said, I'm turning, I said, you look like you're 50.
Yes.
She said, and you know, Pastor, I know you're kind, but that's true. I feel like I'm 50.
Yes.
And I said, what do you think contributed to it? She said, I get checkups, and I preach that here at this church.
Yes.
The same way you believe in your pastor, that God sent him or her, God sent the doctor the same way.
Yes.
That is their anointing. That is their calling. Same way you listen to your pastor about you need to do this, that, and the other in order to make it to heaven. You need to listen to your doctors and your physicians to be able to say, hey, do this, do that, because it will prolong your life. Our coming together is not just so I can have another guest on the show. I thoroughly believe when I went through Dr. Rhodes' resume, when I went through her site, and matter of fact, we're going to get your website because they need to see the things that are there. When I went through that, it was just like she was so inspiring. And it helped us to understand that this is what this community needs. We can live longer, but we cannot live longer if you decide, I don't want to know. I don't care. It's going to be because at the end of the day, I want to live. I'm in my 50s now.
Okay.
And I have a young daughter.
Yeah.
And I said to my wife, I said, I want to make sure she never have to take care of me. I don't want to be old and to a place where, oh my God, my dad is sick. Do I go to college or do I stay here and take care of him?
Yes.
And we have to think about those who come in mind. That's why I was very impressed with you talking about your sons.
Yes.
So I hope that you'll be like Pastor Curry and others who decide, I go to the doctor. I get checked up. And matter of fact, sometimes they call me a hypochondriac because if something happening, I'm getting checked out.
Excellent.
And I make sure something happened a couple of months ago. It was in December of last year. I was preaching. Yeah. And while I was preaching, I couldn't see my manuscript. And I was like, what's going on with my vision? Yeah. Went to the doctor very next day. My sugar count was in the 500s. And he said, Pastor Curry, depends on who you are. Sometimes that can send you into a shock, a coma. And I just didn't know that. Nobody in my family have diabetes. Wow. But I am a sweet fanatic. Yes. And I'll eat honey buns for and I used to always say, if ever I couldn't eat a honey bun, I'll die. But I didn't listen to the doctor. I have no issues now. Yes. I'm out of it. My sugar count is under 6. I'm way under 6 now. Good. And I'm doing very well because I listened to my physician. Yes. I'm just trying to make sure you get it. She's not just talking. You even experienced it and you decided to live. Yes. And that's going to be very important. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just want to make sure that they get this connection. Yes. This connection. And you have really done what I would call a phenomenal job with really sharing your life and not being afraid, because you made that comment about the stigma that may come about. Yes. So I think it's going to be important that they hear that. So what do you think now, what kind of encouragement can you give this community to kind of know that you need to make sure you're checked? Yes.
I would say planning on your calendar when your appointments are, staying up with whatever your yearly checks are. It's interesting because at 40, mammograms are recommended, but more and more younger women are getting breast cancer. And that does not apply. Like if you have a family history, there are stories of women that I've had on my Talk the Wellness Tea with Dr. Chalice podcast telling me stories of how they had to fight to get a mammogram because they were not 40. But on their mammogram, something was seen. And they've had to fight with their insurance companies. Wow. So, the insurance companies are important, but the legislative laws are important. I went to Dr. Nia Bailey's A Letter to My Sister's documentary on Saturday. Oh. Yes. In fact,
we're going to be bringing that here.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Oh, her documentary is awesome. Okay. And the Speaker of the House, Joanne, and I can't remember her last name, of Pennsylvania, was there speaking on how Pennsylvania is the first state that just passed the law starting in January 2024. These risk factors, if you have dense breasts, if you have a family history, you will be able to get a mammogram. Wow. You will not be held to this 40-year age range because that needs to be changed. That blanket, recommendation of, start getting your mammograms at 40. I'm 47. So in 2017, I was 6, so 41 years old. Okay, 41 years old is when they discovered, and they recommend that because a lot of times the cancer is discovered after the age of 40. However, that doesn't speak to the younger populations of women who are getting breast cancer at young ages and are told, oh, it's just a cyst, or just keep an eye on it. And so also women and men, you have to do your monthly exams, right? Even if you feel like, oh, I'm doing the monthly exams and I don't feel nothing, I can't tell a difference. Because I was one of those people. I'm like, well, I can't tell anything anyway. So honestly, I really wasn't doing the monthly exams. But one of the doctors said to me, no, you do need to do them because you need to know what your body feels like so that if something does change, you will know the difference. Because there's been many people who have actually discovered their lumps. See, I feel so grateful to God. I didn't discover it. God actually used that mammogram technology to discover that breast cancer. So, you know, Pastor, when you say God places people in these positions to help us, we are all needed. We all have different gifts, different specialties. And when we come together as a community, we can really uplift and really change the world.
Yes, and you are certainly proving that. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, I want to talk about how can we get in contact with Dr. Rhodes and how, you know, some of the services that she provides, because I didn't want to just bring her all the way here from Jersey today just so she could talk about the cancer or breast cancer alone, but she offers some very significant services that I think you need to be able to communicate and contact with her. We're going to be right back.
You have a 1 in 14 million chance of winning the lottery,
1 in 13 million chance of
becoming an astronaut,
but 1 in 9 women will develop breast cancer.
Over 9,000 women in Ontario will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year.
Early detection is so important.
Women over 50 should have a breast screening mammogram
every 2 years.
Women over 30 who are
high risk should
speak to their doctor about early screening.
Put the odds in your favor.
Speak to your healthcare provider today.
Join us live for our weekly worship. Every Sunday at 9 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube.
Well, Pastor, I'm doing the best I can, but I still gotta have a little Chardonnay, and I still gotta have a little this, and I gotta still sneak around. The devil is a liar. That's an excuse.
Wilmington's most exciting church.
Hi, I'm Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis.
And I'm Marquita Keys, the workforce director for the Minneapolis Health Department.
October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, an important time to bring awareness to the disease and promote screening and prevention.
Breast cancer is the most common cancer in women in Minnesota. Every year, there are about 4,500 new cases of breast cancer diagnosed in women.
And Black and American Indigenous women are impacted at an even higher rate in our state.
Black women are 34% more likely to die from breast cancer than white women, and Indigenous women are 27% more likely.
And while it's rare, breast cancer can occur in men too. So it's important we all know the risk factors of the disease and what to look for.
Age, family genetics, lifestyle, environmental factors, and hormones can all play a role in increasing one's chance of developing breast cancer.
And while breast cancer is more common in people over the age of 50, it can affect anyone at any stage of life, making it important to know the symptoms.
Any change in the breast shape or size, pain in any area of the breast, discharge, or a new lump in the breast or armpit are all just some of the things to look out for.
But here's the good news. Breast cancer is highly survivable when detected early. And that's why early screening is so important.
When to begin screening depends on age and medical history. Experts recommend most women start breast screening every other year beginning at age 40, and earlier if you have a family history of breast cancer.
It's important to talk with your healthcare provider about which screening tests are right for you and when you should start getting screened.
There are several spots around Minneapolis to get screened this October.
For example, The Neighborhood Health Source provides free or low-cost mammograms on the third Wednesday of every month, and that's just one place.
This Breast Cancer Awareness Month is a great reminder to take action, talk to your healthcare provider,
and figure out what's best for you.
And we're back. Great conversation with Dr. Rhodes. I am so excited that she's with us. You know, as I was going through your information, I remember something my pastor said to me years ago. He said, son, if you're going to be effective in this world, you have to be mentally alert, spiritually alive, and physically fit. Yes. He said, because that's the vehicle through which God operates.
Yes.
Well, when I looked at the services that you provide, you literally provide those three services. Yes. Let's talk a little bit about that.
All right, let's talk about it. So listen, mental health includes our physical and our spiritual health.
Yes.
Our mental health is our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors. Our physical health, we have to be healthy. We have to work out. We have to exercise. We have to eat healthier. We have to sleep. Sleep is an underrated thing. Now listen, sleep impacts your mood. The average adult needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And then our spiritual health. We can't leave out our spiritual health, right? Like mind, body, and spirit, those three things go together. And that is what my practice encompasses, right? So I focus on those services. You know, I created a Thrive Breast Cancer Survivorship course. So, you know, God is still allowing me to use my teaching gifts, my counseling gifts, and I combined it into my own course. So what you all can do is you can go to the Google Play Store or the Apple Store and download my app. It's called Dr. Chalice Teach. And in this app, the very first course that I created is called Thrive Breast Cancer Survivorship. And it talks about living. Okay, we are only, breast cancer is only one part of what happened to us. But we're not gonna let that define us. We're gonna thrive through this thing. And my course takes us through that, right? Renew, restore, hope, peace, harmony, vitality. Those are the 6 pillars of my private practice. And there's 6 modules in a course that focus on those areas.
Give it to us again, because it's going to be on the screen. For those of you who are watching, we're going to put it on the screen, but just give it to us. You give us where we need to go get that, because I'll be preaching on Sunday and I'm going to make sure I get there and add you in the sermon, but you can do it one more time.
Thank you. So go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store and download Dr. Chalice, that's CHALICE, Teach. It's an app that I created, and I have a Thrive Breast Cancer Survivorship course in there. I'm currently working on an upcoming course, How to Break Free from Emotionally Abusive Relationships. That's
we got to bring you back. We got to bring her back. Those of you that are working behind the cameras, you got to bring her back. If no other reason for that one, we do need that, because mental health is very much important, and people who are getting connected to people that's destroying their lives. But I'm gonna let you finish. I'm sorry, I get excited.
No, it's so true. And you know, as a Christian counselor, you know, like I said, I completed my internship as a Christian counselor, and then, you know, working in church. I was raised in church all of my life, and you know, I do dance ministry and I sing in a choir. So I'm very
you're active.
Yes, I'm very active in my church community. Even over the years, like taking different classes at church, getting enriched in. I remember, I'll never forget this course. You want to talk about spiritual health? Listen, stress is it plays a critical role in cancer. Stress actually plays a critical role in a lot of health disorders. But when we talk about spiritual health, you know another name for spiritual stress?
What's that?
Spiritual warfare.
Oh, yeah, that's the spiritual side of it, yeah.
Spiritual warfare is stressful.
Yeah.
Spiritual warfare is stressful. And years ago, like 20-something years ago, I took this course at church on spiritual warfare. And I still use this book as a reference to this day. You know, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and this happens to all survivors, anxiety and stress flood your soul. And even though I'm a licensed professional counselor and I use my own techniques on myself, you know what made the difference? Prayer, returning to God, and strengthening my relationship with God. So those areas of my life that weren't as strong in God that I needed to strengthen, things that God said, this season is over. It's time to move on now. Being obedient to God, walking in obedience. You know, I hear people say, oh my God, you did everything so quick. You just had a lumpectomy last September and you just finished radiation last December. and you're already working in this space, because you know what, it seems quick to people, but really when we're obedient to God, when we listen to God's voice, and let me tell you, when you strengthen your relationship with God, the closer you get to God, you will hear his voice clearly.
Yes.
You have so many people who are like, I can't hear God's voice. I can't hear God's voice. But if we cry out to God, if we humble ourselves, if we turn from our wicked ways, and if we seek God's face, he'll hear. He will hear. He will answer our prayers. He will open up doors. He will open up opportunities. So that's the spiritual side of it.
Wow, look at here. We done got a good sermon. See, y'all got to send her an offering. Listen, I'm really appreciating this, because you didn't come, even though you were here to talk about breast cancer, you have really shared your organization, your business. You are here for the total person.
Yes.
And being whole is what I remember when Jesus was talking to the woman. He said, "Your faith have made you whole."
Yes.
It's one thing to be healed; it's another thing to be made whole. Being made whole helps us to live. So I'm very grateful. Today you wear pink. For those who are watching, what does that symbolize?
You know, this pink journey, listen, my favorite color is green.
Okay.
And the logo of my practice is green.
Okay.
When I became a breast cancer survivor, I was like, I want to add a pop of pink, because that pink symbolizes breast cancer. It symbolizes survivorship. Right. And that's where the pink comes from in my logo. So if you look on my website, you see the pink and green. It used to be just green, but the pink symbolizes breast cancer survivorship. But you know what? It symbolizes health, wholeness, wellness, Inspiring Life Together. I do want to mention them. When I was first diagnosed with breast cancer, Inspiring Life Together is an organization that serves mothers who are surviving breast cancer. And actually the founder, Spring Williams, we actually went to high school together, and she battled breast cancer. And I remember reaching out to her saying, oh my God, Spring, I'm praying for you. And who would have ever thought a year later, I would have then reached out to Spring to say, Spring, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. She's like, let my organization help you. And that organization, Inspiring Life Together, is also about wholeness. And I'm so grateful to them, because they actually, in their wellness program, provide gym memberships. So they actually got me started with a gym membership about a month ago. So we're talking about physical health people. Come on, we got to get moving. Even if we can't get to the gym, you can go outside in your neighborhood and walk around. Or maybe you're not really one to walk around in your neighborhood. So maybe you might buy some DVDs. You can buy 20-minute DVDs, pop it in, do an exercise routine. Or maybe you don't have the funds. YouTube, there we go. See, we're on the same page. You can go to YouTube and get free workouts.
That's right.
And you can do workouts, because we got to keep our bodies, our physical bodies in shape, our mental, our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors, our spiritual connection to God. When we keep all of those things strengthened, we can do such great things. God can do such great things through us. And we just got to remember to keep our trust in God.
Yes. Just in case we have a pastor or a ministry leader watching us today, how could a person directly call your office and get in touch with you? You have a phone number you can give them?
Yes. So I do have a phone number. My phone number is 856-441-3177. But the best way to contact me is to go to my website, drchalice.com. That's DrChalice.com. You can send me a message right through my website. I'm in sessions with clients a lot during the day. So it's easier for me to kind of check my email, send a quick email, but I will try to get back to you by phone. It may take a little longer, but email is the quickest way. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm Chalice C. Rhodes, Dr. Chalice C. Rhodes, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I post great things on my website, so please follow me. This month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I posted some great statistics there in a creative video. I post all of my Talk the Wellness tea. So please go to my YouTube channel. It's drchalice.com. I have a podcast. It's called Talk the Wellness Tea with Dr. Chalice. And this month of October, every Monday for Pink October, I've been doing a Pink October series. So last week we talked about breast cancer, mental health, and Black women health disparities. Last night I had Unite for Her on a podcast show. That's an organization that supports breast cancer survivor women. We talked about breast cancer disparities. Next week, we're talking about clinical research trials. So Monday nights at 7. The week after that, we're talking about mental health treatment, breast cancer and mental health. And that last week, we're going to talk about chronic health disorders overall.
Wow.
And the multifaceted model of depression in African American women. Also, I want to give a shout out to the Delaware Breast Cancer Coalition.
Okay.
I'm actually partnering with them. Actually, tonight, I am meeting with my sister's keeper at 5 o'clock to talk about the multifaceted model of depression in African American women that my colleague, Dr. Bernice Kennedy and I, she's an advanced practice nurse, a nurse practitioner down in South Carolina. She and I created a multifaceted model of depression in African American women, and I will be presenting that tonight to the Delaware Breast Cancer Coalition, my sister keepers group.
How do we get to your podcast again?
If you go to my YouTube channel, drchalice.com, please like and subscribe.
Okay.
And you will see the recorded sessions from last week. You'll see the one from last night. If you go to my Instagram page or even any of my social media pages, it has the free link to register via Zoom.
Okay.
So they're free trainings, they're virtual. You register via Zoom, and I have the links on my social media pages, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn.
You're practicing in 4 states.
Yes.
Now, is your practice virtual only, or is it in person as well?
So you know what? I don't want to limit God. I will say for now, my practice is completely virtual.
Okay.
It's telehealth. But who knows what God is going to do? Because who would have ever thought I would have been sitting here with you, Pastor Curry? God actually gave me a vision of partnering with a church to talk about breast cancer. I would have never imagined that I would have been sitting here with you, an advocate of a holistic perspective, an advocate of physical, mental, and spiritual health. I would have never thought that. So I said, I'm not limiting God anymore.
Okay.
Right now, my practice is virtual, and I serve clients in Georgia, Florida, Delaware, and New Jersey.
And we have a lot of facilities here at Ezion Fair
Yes.
in our Wholeness Center. So I say that to you only because when we are partnering, we have to make sure we got the community at large in mind.
Yes.
And our job at Ezion Fair is never to profit off of people,
Yes.
but it is to provide. Now, I understand the professional service that you provide, but I mean, whatever way we can help.
Oh, good.
If the Lord is leading you to come to move off of virtual and do some just to see whether or not this would work.
Yes.
I would love to have that conversation with you, because at the end of the day, it's going to help the community.
Yes.
It's going to give us what we need. So that's important. That's why I asked that question, because I have a lot of seniors who watch us as well, who may not understand the way that some of the younger people do. But to hear that, that's something that you're open for the Lord to do is very important. But send that email through whichever means that you have. If you go to our website, as well as the phone call, but she was very correct. If she's in with clients, she can't take your call. But if you send her the email, she can always get back to you and give you the services that you need. Dr. Rhodes, you have been a blessing to us today.
Oh, amen.
And I pray that God will give you everything you need, that you may continue to spread His goodness, because that's what's happening.
Amen.
You're spreading His goodness and bringing people back to life.
Oh,
I want to give you an opportunity to share with anything you want to share to help some person who may be struggling with it or afraid to get tested.
Yes.
I want to give you that opportunity now.
Okay, because listen, in the research studies, when I read the research studies of Black women, there is this, and especially when we talk about the holistic perspective, there is this segment of people who say, God's going to heal me. I don't need that. I don't need that medicine. I'm not going to take it out. But early detection is key. With cancer, I am one of the poster children for early detection. Because my breast cancer was detected early, I did not have to have chemotherapy.
Right.
I only had to have the surgery to remove it and the radiation treatment. Chemotherapy is a very aggressive treatment. And radiation, even with radiation, you get a severe burn. And it's bad, and you have to apply creams, and you have to let it heal. So there is a whole process. But I just want to encourage someone, whatever you're going through, it could be a health crisis, it could be divorce, it could be, a single mother struggling, it could be a man struggling with your mental health. Suicide Prevention Awareness Month was last month. The suicide rates are rising in young people, 15 to 24. So even if you're a young person, do not give up. Don't give up. God is with you. You may feel like you can't hear His voice right now, but return to God. Get into a good church, get into a good community where the word is being preached. Don't forget your spiritual weapons. We underestimate our spiritual weapons. Praise and worship, that's one of our spiritual weapons. Sing to God, even if you don't think you can sing praises to the Lord. Be grateful.
Yeah.
Gratefulness is another thing that we have to embrace. Sometimes we're so focused on what we don't have, but what do you have? What do you have? Because everything that you need, God has already placed inside of you, and it just needs to be cultivated. And he will bring people into your life, like how God brought Pastor Curry into my life to talk about breast cancer, survivorship. Trust God. Don't put your trust in man, because that's a lot of times where we get hurt too.
Oh, yes.
We put our trust in people, we put our trust in man, but we got to remember we have to trust in God. And at the end of the day, when anxiety and distress hit me with a breast cancer diagnosis, I turned to God and strengthened my relationship with God. And God brought me through, and he brought me out, and he made me a testimony to be able to help other people. And he wants to do the same for you too. He wants to do the same for you too.
Amen. Dr. Rhodes, it has been a joy. It has been a pleasure. As I was reading your information last night and today, I knew that I was up to something great was going to happen.
Yeah.
You've done a phenomenal job with introducing to our community some of the options they will have as it relates to breast cancer and mental health. And you're just holistic.
Yes.
So I don't want to just limit you to the breast cancer,
Thank you.
but thank you for sharing your testimony. I pray God's blessings upon your sons as they continue to do the good work that you have started.
Yes.
And if there's anything Ezion Fair can do to support you, as again, we have that wholeness center, and our whole goal is to keep it as a wholeness. So if there's anything we can do to help you as you're trying to branch something off, let us know. We want to be here for you. Thanks so much for spending time with me.
Thank you so much.
All right, God bless you.
Okay, God
We'll be
bless
right back.
Today, we face a relentless opponent, but we will not back down. We will dig deep. We will push ourselves harder than ever before. We will train. We will study our opponent. We will come together as a team. No matter the obstacles, the challenges, or the amount of hard work it will take, we will not stop. Because finding a cure for breast cancer is our end game. Lifetime proudly supports the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Lifetime is the official broadcaster of the National Women's Soccer League.
It's time to kick. Kick that ball 130 miles per hour. Kick up a sprint every 90 seconds. Kick that heart rate up 167 beats per minute and go 45 minutes straight, no timeouts.
Hi, I'm State Senator Sarah McBride, the Democratic nominee for Delaware's open congressional seat. Too many people think government does not respect them. I try to do things differently. That's why I brought Democrats and Republicans together in Delaware to pass paid family and medical leave, because guaranteeing that families have support respects families. It's why I help champion a livable wage, because respecting workers means they earn a decent wage. And it's why in Congress I will always defend Social Security and Medicare, because I respect that these are benefits that seniors have earned. I'm running for Congress to build a government that sees and respects all of us. I hope to earn your vote in this campaign.
And we're back. What a great show. Now, you've heard me say this time after time after time, what a great show. And I mean it every time. Today, special, because I felt that God has connected us to a community of those who understand that, yes, we have to have our spirit, we have to have our academics, okay? Because we got to do the research. But connecting it to our spirituality is very relevant and very important. For every person who's watching me today, I hope that you would go to Dr. Rhodes' website, and I want you to just go through it. I want you to communicate with her. I want you to get her services and help. If you got a grandchild, if you're a male, look, if you're going through depression, let's move beyond just the cancer part. If you're going through something, we bring people on our show so that you may be helped. She will help you. God sent her for this moment. And I do hope we get an opportunity to bring her to Delaware for maybe once a week or whatever, to practice and to try to really see the community and help, because suicide is at an all-time high. What causes suicide is the loss of hope. You have to live again. You have to make sure that you're willing to live again. And it comes through following what the doctor has prescribed for you to do, as well as staying connected to your God. It was a good show today, and I will forever be grateful to Dr. Rhodes for how she's come in and shared her life and shared the services that she provides for our community. Until the next time we get together, may the Lord God bless you real good.
Thank you for watching this episode of Coffee with Curry. Tune in next week, Sunday at 11 a.m.